Well, Anora finally got to streaming and I got a chance to see it. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanka. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to be going into pre-production this week, so I should be going into production, I think, the middle of April. So yeah, coming up pretty quick. But yeah, remember too to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. And if you can subscribe to the channel, please do. Ring that bell, ding ding. And remember to share this video out there as well. But yeah, I'm also a writer, as I said. So if you'd like to read anything that I've written, just go to Amazon.com and type in my name. You'll see my quadrilogy sci-fi series, Destiny Aurora, that was also made into a board game and an RPG. And yeah, it's also on Audible. They're also on Kindle. So yeah, that's kind of everywhere. I also have my fantasy book, Tales of Ravenor the Iron Witch. I am working on a new book as well, and I am going to be working on a new comic as well, which is the Fairy Tales of Terror, which is actually the artwork's looking amazing. So look for that coming up soon as well. But yeah, let's talk about Anora. So I never got a chance really to see it because there was people were talking about it, and you know I like to support independent films, but there was always more out there, and I just never got around to seeing it. And plus, you know, I wasn't excited about seeing it anyway because I was told it was a little bit more of a raunchier version of Pretty Woman, which now after seeing it is pretty, well, I don't know. I guess there is some truth to that. But this is written and directed by Sean Baker. I've never seen anything he's done. I looked through his IMDb. I don't recognize anything that he's ever done. Of course, that's going to change now because he's an Oscar Award winner. Here it won 5 awards, I believe, or something to that effect, and including Mikey Madison, who was from Scream. That's pretty much the only thing I've seen her in. Is it deserved? That's one of the things we're going to talk about because it did beat out Demi Moore for The Substance. Substance was a film that I liked all the way up till the end. I thought the end was so ludicrous that it completely lost me. But I didn't really recognize any of the other actors in here. Mikey Madison, of course, is pretty much unknown. The budget on this film was $6 million, and with the amount of locations this thing's got, that's where the money went. I can tell you. None of the actors really made any. The actors were probably all getting paid scale. Mikey Madison, because she was naked through almost the whole thing, she probably got a bump for all the nudity she was doing. And then you probably had a intimacy coordinator on set as well. But they were in Vegas. They were in New York, I believe. So we had this, penthouse type. I don't know what the house was that he was in that had a guard gate and all this other stuff. We had where all the parties were. You had the strip club. I mean, they probably had at least a dozen to 15 locations, and not cheap ones either. So, and then you had the big fight scene as well. So if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to go into light spoilers. There's not going to be a whole lot. But I thought the movie was okay. I thought it was average. I didn't think this was an Oscar award-winning film. To win multiple awards, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I mean, all the acting was good, but was it Oscar award-worthy? I mean, she played a version of a very, deep New Yorker where she had the accent continuously, and she did the accent well, but Marissa Tomei did the same accent and probably better, for My Cousin Vinny. So what was so spectacular about this? Somebody please tell me. So because the writing again is average, and it was like over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and the movie dragged because it was a guy that didn't know how to cut up his baby. I mean, it was so obvious. The scenes where they were looking for him, when they were going to all the different spots, that dragged out forever. I'm like, I get the point already. You're looking for the guy. I don't need to see every single place you go. I just don't. For no reason. So I don't know. I thought the writing was mid, because on top of that, the movie does not end with any kind of finality. The character does not change from the beginning to the end. None of them do. Nobody changes. The only guy is Igor, is the only likable character in the whole movie. So how does she change? You tell me. What is her arc? Her arc is that she's a down-and-out stripper that does sex work on the side, depending on who it is. And she gets reeled into this 20-something Russian guy because she loosely speaks and understands Russian. But it's so obvious that she's only after his money because I don't know if I know his family is very rich. I think they might be politicians to a certain degree in Russia. But that's all I know. And, he's feeding off their money. He's got to go to work with them. So maybe they're just a big, corporate person. But either way, they're very, very rich. He needs to go to work with them. And this is like his last foray in America. So he decides that he doesn't want to go to work with his family, so he's going to marry her and get a green card. So they're using one another. They're not in love. This is not a Romeo and Juliet situation. This isn't even a Pretty Woman situation. This is purely a transactional movie. It has some funny stuff in it, and mostly the funny stuff comes from the Russian, I don't know what you want to, they're not really gangsters. To some degree, I guess they are. But they're henchmen. I just call them that. The Russian henchmen are the funniest parts of this. So she is very feisty, and, she bites them, she kicks them, all this stuff, because him getting married screws up everything. Because, again, he's supposed to be going back to Russia to work for Daddy. And that all gets messed up. These guys are supposed to be watching over him, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes, and they haven't looked at him very closely. So he's just a party animal guy. He has not a care in the world. He has no responsibility. He's completely unlikable. I mean, there's not one aspect of his character that is likable. Nothing. Because he doesn't really have a character. He's just a blank slate party guy. That's it. That's all he is. And what was his name? I know her name is, she goes by Ani rather than Anora. Is it Vlad? Yeah, something like that. Vanya. She calls him Vanya continuously. And it was like, I had expectations that, she was going to end up meeting the family and, after some conflict, they were going to accept her and eventually they would get together. That's why I'm watching this film. I'm watching this film thinking that it's a very hard romance film where they're going to change each other. That's what I thought, which is the Pretty Woman side. That's pretty much what happens there, is that we have a transformation, of the characters because of their relationship and interaction with one another. But we don't get that here. We get she's a stripper slash hooker. She still gets paid for sex. And she goes after the rich guy, and she ends up not getting the rich guy. And then she goes back, right? Because the last scenes we see is her going back to where she came from. Because she has sex with the guy, Igor, before she even gets outside of the car. So she's pretty much gearing herself back, going up back to her old life. I mean, she cries about it, but that's it. Which ends up reminding me of, what was that movie about the porn star that Marky Mark did, that Mark Wahlberg did, where he ends up right back where he started, but that was based on a true story. Whenever you have a movie based on a true story, we have different expectations than we have about a fictional one. But I can't see any aspect of this film that makes me want to say, yeah, this is an Oscar winner, man. There's nothing. And as far as he's concerned, of the male lead, since there's nothing about him likable, he ends up going back to Russia anyway. So what was I watching here? But it's the same kind of thing with La La Land. Everybody liked I hated La La Land. Because I walked out going, what? Why did I just watch that film? They didn't end up together, so it's a waste of my time. And that's how I felt about this. It was a waste of my time. I got a few laughs out of it because of the Russian guys. But that's it. That's it. There is nothing memorable about this film at all. If it had turned into a romance film, where these two people changed each other and ended up, whether it was the fact that he gave up the money and decided to be with her, all these things could have been make this movie more of a memorable experience. But instead, we get nothing. I mean, we walked out with nothing. We watched two people for 2.5 hours that did absolutely nothing besides be somewhat self-destructive. So at least she, and on top of that, I'm surprised she took the 10 grand, because she said okay to 10 grand. She, having 1 week with him, was 15. To get an annulment which would have fucked everything. I did like that she kept trying, to do that, but she should have said $500,000. But instead she came out with 10 grand. It was inconsistencies even in her character. So, because she was all about the money. She was negotiating right and left, but to get the annulment, she said yes right off the bat to 10 grand. I don't know. To me, out of 10, this was a 5. Maybe a 5.5. Was the acting good? Yeah, but it was slapsticky, was over the top. To me, the movie that just came out that everybody hates, the Robert De Niro movie, has far better Oscar contending performances than this does. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, why you think this was Oscar worthy, or don't you think this was Oscar worthy? And what was, if it wasn't, then what was the aspect that made Hollywood, all of the, the Oscar votees or whatever they are, give this the thumbs up? Was there just nothing else out there? Was her performance better than Demi Moore? I don't think so. In fact, I don't think her performance is as good as Margaret Qualley. So, I don't know. I'm very, very confused. I like Mikey Madison. I think she's talented. But this was not the vehicle for her to win an Oscar for, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinion means nothing because she did win it. But I just, that's why nobody watches the Oscars anymore. It just makes no sense. None of it makes any sense. All right, well, that's it for me. Remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. Share this video out there. And also, if you'd like to read anything that I've written, remember to go to Amazon.com and just type in my name, Frank Zanka, and all my stuff, my comics and my books and my novels and all my stuff will come up. And I have Holocaust biographies in there. I have thriller horror in there. I have any kind of genres I've written at some point or a time or another. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have an awesome week. Remember to give me some comments below about what you think of this film. And I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys.